A warm welcome to Social Sciences class, all my dear young minds. Yesterday we came across non-alignment movement, what for it got, took its birth, and what are its objectives, what is first separation conference, and at what outset it got taken its birth. Today, how the non-alignment movement and what are its objectives are also discussed in yesterday, our last video. In this video, we are going to come across actually non-alignment policy is brain-born child of whom? It is none other than our first premier, that is Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, one of the statesmen that Mother India witnessed. Statesman means Rajanitya, who knows how to behave with others in a suitable way. But the way approach even to the rivals will be soft, but enemies will be soft. Why? To gain some benefits from enemies also. Such people are called statesmen. They don't see enmity in rivals, only rivalry during the time of election, and remaining time natural normal relations they will be maintaining like any others, right? So one of the statesmen that India witnessed in its political history. I'm not saying he is the only one of the statesmen that Indian political history got witnessed. Apart from that, he is the man, his brain-born child is non-aligned policy, and immediately got supported by one of the African ruler, Muhammad Abdul Gaib Nasser, and a communist country leader, that Tito, Joseph Broz Tito, was the man belonging to Yugoslavia, president of Yugoslavia, who's a communist nation, supported Nehru and immediately joined the non-alignment movement. It's a European country, okay? Right. So, in this way, non-aligned movement has started. There is no 120 countries became, the starting 25 countries were there. By the year 2012, 120 countries joined this particular group. But in this particular group, what did it achieve? What way it got benefited? See, formation of non-alignment movement gave India to behave independent status where the entire world got divided between two main superpowers. Then India, who is nowhere in world politics, was able to make its role. It became the pioneer for this movement. Being pioneer of this movement, or the first man, the first nation to carry this movement and making a huge number of countries to rally at the back of this movement. It got a prominent role in world political scenario. From no man's place to something extraordinary, ordinary to extraordinary. It became India is also one country like many colonies. Before we never initiated this policy. But later on, the world politics started getting influenced by non-aligned countries. And ultimately, being counter of this non-alignment movement, India got the advantage. And it started getting some support, anti-US support, backdoor support from USA and also USSR, because it is leading 120 countries, which is the largest group after UNO. UNO, we know 190 countries are there now. But it is having 120 countries in it. So, being a largest member group, it started getting honored. It started getting honored by the communist USSR and also capitalist USA. Why I'm saying the USSR like this is left communists, always they raise positions against ongoing things. But that's why they are called left parties. Communist parties are called left parties. That's why communist USSR, capitalist USA I'm saying, right? So, yeah, in this way, being a largest membered group, it started getting some weight in the international trade and being the leader of this, pioneer of this. Even India being the torchbearer of this. India also got that status and it started getting some benefit from both USA and USSR. See, USA supported us when we are waging fight with Pakistan in 1965. Actually, there was serious drought. 1962, China attacked and occupied almost all over 42,000 square kilometers of land in the northeast. Got it? And Aksai Chin, belonging was also got occupied by China in 1962 war. Got it? 22nd October 1962, the same happened, right? So, after the drought, famine and drought was there. Rainfall, shortage of rainfall led to this drought and famine in the entire country. And we are suffering with shortage of food grains and paying to the penury. Pakistan attacked us in 1965. Lal Bahadur Shastri was the Prime Minister of India. Again, when we come to Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, we will learn much thing more because in 18th chapter, special topic comes anti-Hindi movement. There also he was the Prime Minister. Then we will talk much about it. What is the slogan given by him and all? Right. Now, let us come to the point. India started maintaining an independent status and getting a honor, being leader of the or pioneer or transmitter of such a huge group of countries in the world. So it was able to maintain its independent status even though the world got split down into two military blocks. But a non-alignment is not a military block, no. It got formed for the promotion and progress of cultural aspects, economic aspects, and scientific aspects, technology, science and technology, regarding these member countries, by cooperation of these member countries, that's all. It's not a military bloc. The remaining two are military blocks, communist military bloc and capitalistic military bloc. We have to understand what it is. But it's not a military bloc. It is a alliance, almost a positive, peaceful alliance for progress. Got it? So in the areas of cultural aspects, scientific aspect, education, got it? Economic aspects, one will be helping with others so that they will stand together and they will progress themselves to the next level. That's the concept of non-alignment movement. First thing is India got benefited in maintaining its independent status where the two big powers fell apart. Second thing is these countries which are a part of non-alignment movement got benefited. How? They got an opportunity to bargain some space. That is by playing one against another. Already I explained in previous videos. USA is there, USSR there. We are newly independent. Basically, cause for this formation of non-alignment movement is we are these countries which don't newly independent. They are in need of either USA or USSR. In science and technology, if USSR is going to help, the help is required from USSR, and at the same time, in agriculture, food grains, and industrial aspects, and so on, we need help from United States of America. So, if we support the USA, USSR will not extend itself. If you support USSR, USA will not. That's why they followed a path of positive neutrality, saying that if you do righteous thing, we'll support you. If you do wrong thing, we will not support you. Even the same will be applicable to Russia, communist Russia. If you do right thing, we are going to support you. If you are going to do wrong thing, we will not support you. So that what happened? They got an opportunity. That is, they can use their sovereign power in making nations without the involvement of Russia or America. One thing. Other aspect is they started playing one against another. Suddenly, India will start talking with the USSR positively. So USSR will get ready to help India. After getting help from USSR, what India does is India immediately it also talks with US for some help. Then automatically USSR you went to USSR. You are saying non-alignment and you went to USSR. Then India just like we people, general people are speaking. Immediately India says, I have thought it is a big power like you. It will be helping. Nah, it did not do. I thought it will be helping 1 rupee, but even 5 paisa it did not help. Only 3 paisa it helped. It's not like you, sir. Then automatically it's not like you. Means you are broad-hearted. It is narrow-minded. Aha, this fellow is quoting USSR Abbo. I thought he is going to USSR, but he is not having that sort of corner to USSR. So this fellow helped. 10 paisa help is given to United States of America. Then I immediately went to USSR and say, USSR says, I went to USSR. No, sir, I tested him, what is his opinion and all. See, you are far better, you gave 20 paisa, he gave only 10 paisa. Then USA sir felt very happy about. He brought some information from USA and he is passing the information to me. 25 paisa help is given by USA. In this way, playing one against another, we got benefit. Not only we, all the member countries of non-aligned group got benefit. But this is the second help we got because of non-alignment movement. That is, one is India got an independent status where it can show some impact upon the world politics. When this world got fell apart from apart between two superpowers. And another aspect is these non-aligned countries got an opportunity to bargain some space in the international arena. Because by playing one against other, by playing USA against USA against USA, they got benefit. And third one, formation of non-alignment movement gave some chance of reducing the tension between member countries because they all are part of one group. If any conflict arises between India and Pakistan, immediately remaining countries come and sit together and they try to resolve the problem. They try to resolve the problem. In this way, they were to a certain extent. They were happy in reducing the tension of war among the member countries. Of course, there are cases of failure which were pointed well by this USA and so on. When certain times USA and US are both suspected them. The US services say that you are the supporter of USA, but you are pretending that you are neutral. You are not supporting anyone. And even USA used to say that you are supporter of USSR. And what happened at times, USA blamed also. When there was a war among the members itself, like Iran and Iraq, even though they are members of non-alignment movement, this being a head of that group, India failed successfully in stopping that 7 years war that happened 1980 to 1987. What did 87, 88? In that 7, 8 years, a war was there between Iran and Iraq, where almost total men of the country were killed. Youngsters, school-going children were given weapons and asked to go for a war. They were made to be in war field by the governments of Iran and Iraq. That wasn't even I was a youth at the time, so that I witnessed that war through newspapers. How the children are carrying guns, aged 16, 17 years old children. Because there was a huge loss of bombarding by both countries. Oil wells were burned. So there was a huge. This is because of Iraq just tried to occupy a small region between Iran and Iraq. And there is this difference in the what we can plan, what we can call the faith. They say Islamic faith. There are two sects there. One is Shia and other is Sunni. And Iran is having Shia Muslims more in number. They follow Shia faith in Islam. And whereas Iraq, they follow Sunni faith. Most of the people in the world, they will be following this Sunni faith, right? So that is the basic difference, and more the man who came to power in Iraq. Now we are going to come across a rise of nationalism in Middle East. We are going to come across. So that particular Iran and Iraq, you can see it. This is Turkey, adjacent to Turkey, Iraq, neighboring state is Iran. But next is Pakistan. Next will be Pakistan and India. So above Pakistan will be Afghanistan. It will be Afghanistan, right? Thank you. So here is Saudi Arabia. And these are some small countries such as like Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, Israel. These are small tiny countries, like our district, common district they will be. So, but they are countries. That's why this region is called West Asia or Minor Asia. Because countries are very small. That's why Minor Asian nations or West Asia is called. And this region is called Middle East Asia. While when we look from the west towards Asia, it is existing in the middle. This region is existing in the Middle East. That's why we call it as Middle East. We will come into that next topic, right? So when a war occurred between Iraq and Iran regarding oil wells, USA and USSR very successfully supported, each supported one country. If Iraq is supported by USA, Iran is supported by USSR. In that way, they showed their undue favor to them and they helped militarily, giving weapons and all, missiles and all. And keeping them away, they started pointing the finger towards India. It's because of your failure. Actually, it's not because of failure of India. It's because of success of these two countries standing at the back of Iran and Iraq. They went forever. But blame was thrown upon non-alignment movement and being the leader of non-alignment movement. Now, being leader of non-alignment movement, India was forced to take the blame. So this is what happened. So now we'll come to the rise. This is about non-alignment movement. If you have any doubts, you can get clarified through personal calling or through group message. No problem. You can get the answer, but genuine questions only will be answered. And before you ask me a doubt or seek a clarification for something, mention your identity. Disclose your identity. Mention your name and section. Without that, you can't expect any answer from me. If you are a genuine student, surely will mention that I am so and so, and this is my name and sir, please answer this question. But don't ask me frivolous and nonsense questions. I will not respond to it. Right? Whether I follow your video or sir, and YouTube or sir, or school or app sir. Learning is important to us. Learning is, if you learn from the textbook, no problem. Listen to video, read the textbook, learn from the textbook, no problem. Any doubt, ask related to the content. Other than that, why unnecessary aspects? If you are sincere, I am observing you are all performance learner. 4 exams got completed till the day. I am registering everything. And probably by next month we will start our 2nd October. If everything goes well, physical class may start with the divine blessings. Then surely everything will be considered and treat will be so. Right? Sincerely, whoever asked me a question, wantedly gave a misinformation. I want to see how many of you will be. That guy also asked in the recent after completion of that chapter. Because he came through that same point in this chapter. I know that surely when you come to this, one of you will be questioning. Only one guy got questioned. Means remaining people are not following. That's very nonsense. What parents will do, what teachers can do, you have to help yourself. You have to plan yourself and you have to do the work. So these are the 3 things happened with the non-alignment movement. Now I am going to the rise of nationalism. Rise of nationalism in Middle East. This is Middle East. This is Middle East. Iran, Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Turkey, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, Kuwait, Qatar. These all are there. Higher Asian countries are there. Kuwait, Qatar, UAE, apart from the Jordan, Libya, Syria, Lebanon, Syria, and so on. And very recently to this African continent. African continent, it is Egypt, which is supported India very strongly in non-alignment movement. And Libya, followed by Libya. Tripoli is the capital of India. Egypt, Cairo is the capital. And what gets divided in both is Asia and Africa is Red Sea, and Asia and Africa is connected with the channel called the Suez Canal. This is the Suez Canal which will be connecting in Africa and Asia. Suez Canal. It will be connecting Asia and Africa. World's largest continent, second largest continent gets connected by Suez Canal. What is that canal? Suez Canal. Suez Canal. And this is also a cause for break of peace in the world to certain period. where Iran got involved and got a pacifism issue that will come across in communication. Right. So here this is the missing one. Let's say we divide. What joins Asia and Africa is Palestine. What divides Asia and Africa is Red Sea. Got it? So you see, this is called Middle East Asia, Iran, that region. Able to understand? Now rise of nationalism in Middle East Asia we are going across. What is the cause for rise of nationalism in Middle East Asia? See, the strong opposition to United States of America. Among Muslims, most of the people who live over here are Muslims only. Majority people are Muslims. Minority groups are also there, like Kurdish people, Jews, and so on. What I mean is less in number. And these people very strongly started opposing United States of America as time started passing over. Why? USDA, for its monetary benefits, started supporting the people who are fighting against Arabs. They are Jews. Where the fighting is going on, here places they are not Palestine, they are Jews. Israel and Palestine, two countries are there. And the story about this will be coming on Monday. West Asian conflict is our topic is there before this rise of nationalism in the Middle East. That is the topic which should be explained, but it is a lengthy topic. That's why I postponed it to Monday, coming Monday. Now I am explaining rise of nationalism, which is after this West Asian conflict. That a conflict is between Jews and Arabs. Arabs are Muslims. In that area, America started standing at the back of Jews. And this was cause for development of hatred against USA in the hearts of Muslims in this particular region. Not only that, one more point. This region is renowned for resources and oil resources, petroleum. Already I said you, in settlements and migration, OPEC countries, oil producing and exporting countries. This in that context of oil, even Israel and they are also taking a part of Arab League. Arab League means even African countries like Egypt, Libya, Sudan, Chad, these all will also come under Arab League. Got it? So these are all countries which are having good oil resources. America being wise, as utilization of oil is increasing because of industrialization and advancement of technology, this particular country wants to have control upon these oil resources. So for that purpose, using its military strength and science and technology, it has started suppressing the people over here and started forming undemocratic governments. The governments which did not have popular support or support of majority of people started coming into power, and those fellows started crushing down the people in the name of their rule. Their rights were undermined, freedom was undermined, and whatever the money they get by selling the oil is sold to America at lowest prices. And that money what they get, they enjoy. The royal families will enjoy. They are least bothered about the people's minimum facilities provided to the people. If anyone is ready to arms bosom, they immediately military troops will come into action, and they will be taking action against those people who raise their voice. Nowadays we are seeing here and there in India, got it? No one should question us. What we do, silently you have to follow. What happens you see. Here what happened, that's what a best example for anyone to learn. So in this process, when America started making puppet governments here to get a benefit from oil resources existing in ample quantity or huge quantity here, these people started raising their voice. That's why they started developing a hatred towards the United States of America and Western world, Britain, France, and so on, who are supporting Jews. And this one of the student asked me, sir, if Taliban got encouraged by America, why they are not like this America? I'll say, right. So taking advantage of growing opposition among the people. First in Iraq in 1968, one fellow by name Saddam Hussein, army general, one of the army general, carried a coup. Saddam Hussein carried a coup. Coup, C-O-U-P, coup already said armed rebellion. If any revolt is made taking up the arms, it is called coup. If it is done by army or any armed people, it is called coup. Mostly the army revolts against the existing government and it captures power or it tries to capture power, it is called coup. Already explained in first chapter. What is coup? Coup. So he made a coup and he was successful in removing the existing weak ruler. And because he is a military officer, he knows the tactics and he, from a rank of soldier, he reached the answer and there. This gentleman was successful in getting control upon this one. And what are the twin slogans made out by Saddam Hussein to give confidence to the people of that country? Already people are having opposition to the existing government because it is supported by America, who is trying to loot their oil resources. So taking this as an advantage to make people happy and to get this full support from the people, he gave it twin slogan or two slogans. One is Arab nationalism and other is socialism. Arab nationalism and other is socialism. These two, what are the two things, slogans given by Mr. Saddam Hussein? Saddam Hussein gave two slogans. What is that? Arab nationalism means unity of Arabs. All Arabs should be together. Only then we can counter these Western forces. And I am trying to bring all this upper region under one control, one political control, so that no foreign forces will step into Arab region and we can enjoy this. We can have control upon our oil resources without the help of foreign forces, and whatever the oil is produced, that will be sold out in the international market at a good price, and whatever the benefits the governments get, that will be spent for developing the infrastructure. Infrastructure includes a tower. What is a tower? THL. T, transportation, T, telecommunication, E, education, HL, tower. TTHL, already I said TTHL, tower. In first level topics. Infrastructure. So we will provide better education opportunities, road, transportation, telecommunication, and health facilities to you with that profit. All this is who are enjoying that? The rulers are enjoying it more. Whatever the profit country have to get, that is we are not getting, because all the oil is handed over to America. Whatever the $2 is giving, this fellow is taking and enjoying. And he forget about the well-being of the people. But hereafter, our government is going to take care of your children's education facilities, your health conditions will be improved, and you will be given better education. Your children will be given better education, good transportation system, telecommunication was the promise made by Mr. Saddam Hussein. Very soon, even in Iraq, clerics belong to Shia community, Shia community Muslims. The clerics means the religious heads. But they revolted against the weakest king existing on there, who is ruling them with the support of America. And they were successful. People also supported these clerics, religious heads, and they removed the king and they started ruling themselves. But in 1979 that happened. In which year? 1979 it happened. And in Saddam Hussein revolted in 1968. Saddam Hussein revolted in 1968 and got into power. And in 1969 in Libya, African country, beside Egypt, this is Egypt, northeastern country. Egypt is adjacent to Libya, before in the camera. Here also, there will be one more military general to the power. And Libya also military revolted, and some military officers started ruling this Libya. General Gaddafi, under the leadership of Major General Gaddafi, some generals, military generals started ruling Libya. So these are all people this Iran revolution started to influence these many number of countries here. But and these fellows, once coming to the power, instead of encouraging carrying on the developmental activities, they started encouraging religious fanaticism or orthodoxy. What is this religious orthodoxy? What is set in their religious principles? It is called as Sharia, Islamic Sharia. Those all things have to be implemented and followed by the people, compulsory, must and should. And when they follow this, what is said by the clerics, there is a voice coming out from some human rights activists that in the name of religion, these governments are making people to not to think about their development. More they are taking off the freedom and fundamental rights of the people. And more discrimination is shown against the woman. Woman is forced to be more and more underdone. That is orthodoxy. In the name of religious orthodoxy, she is not permitted to step out, or she is made to lose her total freedom, and she is meeting a discrimination. Was the saying of human rights activists in the world from the West, or certain people in the same countries also started raising their voice. What did they believe? These countries, these governments which came to the power speaking about well-being of the people, and what is the socialism advocated by Mr. Saddam Hussein or Gaddafi over here? Gaddafi implemented in Libya. He promoted schools, he promoted hospitals, some better things are done by Gaddafi. Here in Saddam Hussein and other rulers who came to the power, those people who promised that we come to the power, we are going to change your living conditions. But instead of that, they started infusing religious orthodoxy into someone is raising a question. Why should we follow this? You said that you will give 100 crore jobs to us, and we will get employment. Oil factories will be here. We only will get employment. We will not sell oil to others, and refined oil will be sold to other places. And all business people will be we only. We will get the business, but it's not happening. Someone questions. He is more as anti-religious and he is punished very brutally by this fellow. Saddam Hussein is that cruel. He did not spare his own son-in-law when they raised their voice against him. He killed. Such a he is renowned for that stern actions and cruel actions. So no question of any opposition from any point of any voice opposing voice anyway. With the terror and fear they rule the people in that particular region. Whatever the promise they made of nationalism, socialism, all are forgotten. Only now they are forced to follow the religious aspects and concerns. If you remember something happening in somewhere of the world, I am not responsible for that, because those fellows who don't want people to ask about development or better living conditions, always they will try to raise one or other emotional issue in the name of religion, caste, creed, race, religion, sex, gender. These all things will be coming into forefront, so that people will forget about real development and progress of them. Got it? Even a hunger stricken valley, we die or die, but we lie or we die, but we are very fond to say IPL Zindabad. We want IPL. Only some pandemic. Why IPL is today? We don't think. We want to get divided. Royal Challengers, Sunrisers, Mumbai Indians, Chennai Chacos, XYZ. But they make us to be in this. It is called attention diversion. Attention diversion policy of the government. Now everyone is busy with IPL. Someone is busy with Kartika Deepak Women. So no one is there to question now. Everyone is preoccupied. Even they forget hunger. They lie with hunger, but they want to be this emotional. They care what I am saying. Mera Bharat Mahan will not will. We love our mother India, undoubtedly. We are ready to give our life, but for a genuine reason. So, not only here, when rulers, they want to divert the people from the main area of development, focus on the development, they try to whip up these emotions and feelings among the people. They infuse it. And if anyone is not ready to yield, they will be haunted in the name of anti-nationals or in the name of terrorists, extremists. They will be haunted, they will be eliminated physically also. Got it? So, the same was conditioning there. And in this juncture, in Afghanistan already I said that there came a Taliban government with the support of USA. By 1985, USSR withdrawn its troops. Nazimullah, the head of the state, got angry in the open streets by the Taliban. And then what happened? Taliban's rule started there. And they are very much focused upon the religious orthodoxy. Got it? And once these religious feelings all got infused and they were made to go against whom this USSR with the funding given by United States of America. And now Taliban started thinking, America gave these weapons, money and all. How it gave? It got some money. How it got money? By selling the oil existing in this particular Arabian region, it made money. Same money it gave to us, it made us to fight against each other. Amma, very bloody idiot. And these Taliban, they identified it is not only a problem of Taliban here in America, in Afghanistan, but also in the Muslim community is getting suffered. And one of the Arabian businessman, Osama bin Laden, got engaged with these Taliban and he created one terrorist organization called Al-Qaeda, and this Al-Qaeda carried a massive attack on Manhattan Towers in New York in 2001 on 11th September, this month, 11th, and that is World Trade Center. And the purpose is, many thousands of people got killed. They hijacked two aeroplanes and they crashed, they dashed with the aeroplanes at two towers where there was a huge, what we can call implosion. Got it? Building got broken pieces. Thousands of people died, and killing the people is not only motive of their nana. Those people, terrorists, when they planned, you see that they planned on 26th November in Bombay, Taj Hotel. What it? Some 12 years back. 12 years back when they attacked Taj Hotel 2008, I think, on 26th November, and they attacked Bombay Taj Hotel, and they took a hostage of some. They tried to take hostage of tourists. It was not successful. It was an unsuccessful attempt made by terrorists of Pakistan. Got it? Those fellows' intention is not only to capture that foreigners and kill. Got it? They killed several people, that Kasab, Muhammad Kasab, and so on. They killed. Can be blended. Only one fellow was caught. Remaining 9 were killed by our Indian police, special forces, right? Army. One of the army officers also got died in a accident, right? From Bangalore. So. This, when the terrorists come, they will come with the purpose not only to create terror. When they capture Taj Hotel, what is their purpose is to create a fear among the foreigners entering into India. Why? Because India gets a huge foreign exchange resource in the name of tourism. So that is giving a helping hand to our Indian economy and our governments to carry on some developmental aspects. To break that, how it will be broken? If foreigners or tourists who are coming to country are made to feel that there is no security in India, they will not step into India. Then automatically, no, India will not get foreign exchange resources. But our tourism income faster. And more, they opted Bombay. Bombay is financial capital of India. On that day, if Bombay comes to a standstill, Bombay business in Bombay comes to standstill for one day, estimated loss will be 10,000 crores. If this fear and terror is created for 2-3 days, they are there in action for 1-2 days. After that also action, people will get feared and they will not step out. 1 week Bombay market gets closed with 70,000 crores. India is going to lose, was the anticipation of them. them. But of course, Mumbaikars, they showed their positive reaction and they did not care. Very next day they started coming in the streets and the business was carried on. Business got carried on. But if not, it might have been a drastic impact upon the Indian economy. If Bombay, the financial capital might have got into standstill in financial activities for 1 week or 10 days. But it did not happen. People of Bombay, they have to appreciate, and the nation was at the back of them, and they stepped out very bravely and they carried their activity. They did not stop. And later on, Indian government and troops were successful in handling the matter, and one fellow was caught, and he was later given capital punishment, death sentence, right? After trial, after a justful trial, he was given, right? In this way, terrorists have a mind of disturbing the academic aspects also. That's why they targeted one building. Manhattan Towers are nothing but there exists World Trade Center where entire world trading activity will be going on between nations, international trading activity. And attack on that for some days it got closed, means what impact is going to show up on the world economy, you can understand. So this is why those people attacked that World Trade Center in Manhattan, which is in Manhattan Towers in New York City, financial capital of United States of America. So this is about the content mentioned in the textbook related to rise of nationalism in Middle East Asia, that is Iraq and Iran and so on, neighboring countries, and how it got converted into religious fanaticism and what bad incidents occurred. These are the things mentioned in the textbook. I tried to brief you everything, and please go through the concept. Monday, we will be coming across the fight between Israelis, Jews and Arabs. What happened? What is the fact? What's happening? These all things we will be coming across. Thank you all. See you, Ma.